going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. So, as y'all know, my last video was kind of an emergency video that, I had to do when I did before this one. You know what I mean? This episode of Debunking Anti Gunners was planned well before the last video I did. So let me preface that because I do have another Debunking Anti Gunners video that I'm doing that relates to the last video I did. Don't want to say too much. But regardless, let's get right into it. On this episode of Debunking Anti Gunners, we need to raise the age requirement or age restriction for buying a firearm. Here's the problem with this argument. They make this argument to try to say, oh, well, what do you want? Little kids just getting guns? Do you want the, little kids just grabbing guns and shooting each other? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know any little kids that have money. I don't know about you guys. And when I was a little kid, I was broke. Maybe it's just because me and my family were like not the most financially set off, but man, we were broke. So with that being the case, it's not like children necessarily are running out getting firearms. There's no epidemic of 5 or 6 year olds going to the gun store and putting up their lunch money and all their allowance saved up to buy a firearm. That's never been the case. So let's get that out the way. So I can assume you're referring to more so teenagers, maybe, trying to make the argument that, oh, well, they're just emotionally not always stable. Yeah, I can agree there. Teenagers are not the most emotionally stable at the moment. However, that's partly due to that's due to how our society is right now. And it's a very unfortunate thing, but truth be told, in our society, when you celebrate degeneracy and you celebrate crime, then guess what? That's what the teenagers and the kids are going to look up to because they also want to be celebrated. So, as long as us as a society can, sit here and actually condemn crime, violence, and not praise it up through music, through TV, through all these other aspects, then yeah, perhaps we can, see a pretty big difference there. And I will say that. There's a difference between playing a video game like Grand Theft Auto and, you're sitting here preaching about nothing but killing people. There's a big difference. Like when you're sitting here preaching actual degeneracy to people and you're preaching a lack of morality, yes, you're going to end up with criminal teenagers. That's how it works. So, all in all though, why do I believe there, one, really shouldn't be an age restriction on firearms, let alone adding a higher one to it or a higher, age restriction? Why do I believe that? Because of the fact that, one, the Second Amendment says shall not be infringed. There's no argument around that. Now, some people might try to argue, oh, well, this will prevent kids from getting firearms. Okay, let me make this 100% clear. At least in my state, in the state of Florida, a parent can gift their child a firearm. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the child has to be 18. However, a parent can gift their child a firearm. Like, getting a firearm for your child is not illegal. I know a lot of people who they have sat there and they're like, oh, well, I take my son hunting with me. So, I bought him a little Ruger 1022. He can shoot some rabbits. We can go rabbit hunting, squirrel hunting, whatever. Right. I know, like, literally, I know countless people who start their children and grandchildren and so many other children on, with learning about firearms with something like a Ruger 1022 that they bought for them. That's not illegal. I hate to break this to you guys, but, making the argument that, oh yeah, well, we don't want a child to have a gun. Children can get guns gifted to them. You guys don't seem to realize that part. And it just kind of shows that when you make the argument against these, trying to add these restrictions, you don't seem to understand that that doesn't really do anything. The people who are committing crimes with firearms, I will argue, yes, a lot of them are teenagers. If we're going to make the argument between 14 to 17, yeah, 100%, I can agree that a majority of crimes committed with firearms are probably going to come from a teenager, early adult age range. Why is that? Well, it's just because of the fact that they chose to commit the crime. I mean, there's no other reason for a crime being committed other than the criminal making the choice to go commit that crime. There's no other way around it. But regardless of that, do y'all think that a majority of these people are going to stores and buying firearms? Be 100% honest with yourself. Do you think a 15, 16-year-old is going to a store and buying a gun? No, they are not. How do they get guns? They're buying them off the streets. And I mean, dude, y'all might try to argue, oh, well, what's the difference between buying a gun off the streets and a private sale? Well, the only real difference is that buying a gun off the streets, there is a big chance that it has probably been used in some sort of crime or is stolen. You know, if you're buying from a private sale and, I mean, the gun's legal, the person selling it to you is a legal firearm owner, you're a legal firearm owner, you know, then everything's fine. There's a big difference there. So I want to point that out right now, get that out of the way. If you think that these teenagers are going into stores buying guns, you're out of your mind. That's just not happening because there are already age restrictions in place. Raising them doesn't do anything. Be like, that's the problem here. And people love to say, oh yeah, well, we need to make it to where, you know, people can't buy guns like AR-15s or AK-47s until they're at least 21. Bro, they can go in the military at 18. They can go in the military. They can get M4s. They can, like, come on now. Be real with yourself here. Do you hear how dumb you sound? Making an argument like that, it doesn't work. It doesn't work on so many levels because these people who are committing crimes with guns that are underage are not buying them legally. Like, there's no other way around that. They're either stealing them, they're either buying them off the streets. There's so many different ways here that these criminals get guns that has nothing to do with the legal buying process. And when you make the argument that, oh, we need to change the age requirement for buying a firearm or the age restriction, you're talking about the legal process of buying a firearm, where a majority of people aren't committing crimes. Notice how I said a majority. There are some people who are committing crimes with their firearms, and, you know, they do make us gun owners who don't commit crimes with our firearms look horrible. But my whole point is that to make the argument that these people are buying them in the store, they're going about it through the legal process when they simply aren't. The point of making a restriction on the legal process doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything to stop criminals from getting guns. And this is something you'll notice among these anti-gunner phrases or these pretty much all anti-gun legislation is that it doesn't affect criminals. Why? Because of the fact that criminals already are getting their guns illegally. They're already breaking the law. It's several different laws. Most of them are felons. So on top of, you know, buying a stolen gun or being in possession of probably a stolen gun, you're now felon in possession of a firearm, felon in possession of ammunition. You're dealing with, like, these people are breaking multiple laws here, state and federal. Do you really think that adding a restriction on the legal buying process is going to do anything to them? No, it won't. That's something you will constantly see with anti-gun legislature. That's something you will constantly see with people who are pushing these anti-gunner phrases. You will constantly see that all of their solutions to gun violence doesn't affect the criminals who are the ones who commit the gun violence. All it does is affect us, the normal Second Amendment, just the normal 2A person, the normal American who exercises their rights and understands that, hey, this is a tool to protect myself and my family and to fight off a tyrannical government, foreign or domestic. You see what I mean? The people who understand that and follow these laws are the ones who are getting punished here instead of the criminals, because the criminals already are breaking the laws. With that being said, I think that about wraps up for this video. I can feel my blood pressure just rising here talking about this because I'm getting pissed off. I don't want to keep going in circles too. So y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all. And because you agree with me, the age restriction on buying firearms really doesn't do anything because of the fact that a majority of the people who are underage who are getting firearms are getting them illegally, or they're getting them gifted to them by their parents, which is 100% legal. So regardless, these age restrictions don't do anything. If you agree with me, make sure to check out all my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.